Hey, what is up everybody? Zerofatzreturns here, coming at you on behalf of adventuresontheriver.com. Right now, as I speak to you, it is Saturday morning. This is the last day of the eBook Initiative launch. The eBook Initiative will shut down at midnight tonight. No exceptions, nothing like that. It's shutting down at midnight. I'm very serious about that fact. We started on the 13th. Right when I said we were going to start, we're going to end today at midnight, just like I said we're going to end. $5. I mean, you can't beat that. It's a great price for what the course is. So let me talk about a little bit about what happened this week, because I know I shot that video Monday, that first video I shot for you guys Monday, and it was like the night before the eBook Initiative launch, and then I said, hey, throughout the week I'm going to be doing videos for you guys talking about ebooks and how to do good with ebooks and stuff. And why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do those videos? Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is, I did that video on Monday, the pre-launch, the eve of the launch video, which a lot of you guys saw. And then on Tuesday I had another video I did that Tuesday, and I was planning on putting it up, but what happened was my son had this crazy asthma attack, man, and we ended up at the hospital, and he got admitted, so I stayed with him all night at the hospital. It was just nuts, man. It was crazy. So I planned on this week being like a really busy week for the eBook Initiative. It turned out just being a really busy week because, I spent a lot of time, just taking care of my son, and that's what's really important, right? Just taking care of your family. Spend a lot of time praying to God, please heal my son, make him better. I spend a lot of time doing those things, as probably most of you guys probably would too if you were in that situation. But what it boils down to as far as like you guys are concerned and how it relates to you guys is I wasn't able to make all those videos, but that's okay. The eBook Initiative sold lots of copies. It did pretty good. People still liked it. A lot of that traffic came from JVZoo and not from YouTube, but that's okay. What I wanted to do now is tell you guys a little bit of a story. This is the last day of the launch. At this point you have less than 24 hours. You have until midnight tonight to pick up your copy of the eBook Initiative if you want it. It's a good product. So what I want to do now is I want to tell you a story about how this eBook Initiative thing came to be in. Well, as a lot of you guys probably know, when I get questions on this channel, or when I get questions on my Facebook, I try to answer people, man. I try to answer everybody, unless people get rude with me, and then like, kind of makes me mad sometimes. Sometimes I lose my mind sometimes when people get rude with me. It's like, dude, why are you getting rude with me? Are you kidding me? I'm trying to help you. But yeah, but I do. I really make a point. No matter how many comments I get, I make a point to go through them and answer them. That's part of my ethos, man. My ethos says I'm going to try to help people. That's kind of like the code I live by. So when people ask me questions, I try to give them helpful answers. So a regular of this channel, a guy that has been around for a long time, asking me questions for a long time, and I've tried to help him. A guy by the name of Carltonesque. If you're out there, hey Carlos, what's up, man? He told me he just bought a course on eBooks, and stuff like that, and he said, dude, listen, you've been a big help to me. I will pay you money if you can just answer me 5 questions. Right? And I said, dude, you don't have to pay me anything. You've been asking me questions for so long, I feel like we're old friends or something. So just give me your 5 questions, man, and I'll do my best to answer them. So I'm going to go through a few of the questions here that he asked me for you guys. But what it boils down to was, once I got done trying to answer his questions, I had like 3 or 4 pages of answers for him. And then I told him, I said, you know what, man, I think I'm just going to make a course out of this, because I know a lot of people would, probably like to know the answers to these questions. They're really good questions he asked. I said, I know a lot of people probably like to know the answers to these questions, and, I think it would serve you better and probably serve a lot of people better if I just made like a course to kind of address some of these questions. So, without further ado, let's look at the original questions that Colas asked me that kind of like spurned creating the ebook initiative and all that stuff. So anyways, so he wanted to know, like, how can I get ethical book reviews on Amazon, you know? And it's a funny thing, because he said, how can I get ethical book reviews on Amazon? You know, and it's funny, it's the same as saying, how can I get honest book reviews on Amazon? You know, and what it boils down to with that question is positive reviews sell books. That's the social proof on Amazon. And everybody, lots of people look at the two big things. Well, you could even say the three big things. You know, people look, the main two things is people look at what the book can do for them. You know, what is this book going to do for me? And they judge that by the title of the book, the subtitle of the book, and they judge it kind of by the cover, because imagery sells, right? But then the second thing they think is, does this book really do what it says it's going to do? Like, even if it's like a science fiction book, or if it's a fictional book, it doesn't matter, because the goal is to entertain you. If it's a science fiction book, then the person looking at that is a person who loves science fiction, and they're going to be asking, is this a good science fiction book, right? I love books about spaceships and, you know, flying through space and being a bounty hunter or something. And all that is kind of indicated in the cover, and all that is kind of indicated in the title and the subtitle. Now the question is, does it really do what it says it's going to do? Is this a really good science fiction book? I don't want to waste my time reading this book if it sucks, you know? The next thing they do is they look at the Amazon review section, because they want to see what other people are saying about it, right? That's like the social proof on Amazon. So, you know, Colas has asked me how to get ethical reviews. And like, here's the problem, alright? You know, most people who read books, and most people who buy books on Amazon, don't leave reviews. One of the major motivating factors for people leaving reviews on Amazon is because they're mad. You know, they're mad, they want to do some damage. That's their main motivational factor for leaving a review on Amazon. So you got to ask, like, how do you inspire someone who actually liked your book to leave you a positive review? Okay, and the answer for that, and we address this more in depth in the ebook initiative, is you position a contest during your 5-day free launch. You launch your ebook for free for 5 days, and you position a contest. You position a contest off of Amazon on your website. It's strictly for people who enjoyed your ebook. This contest is for people who liked my ebook. I appreciate you leaving positive feedback on my ebook, and as a kind of way of saying thank you, I want to have this contest, and it's for all the people who like my ebook. To enter, you know, you just cut and paste your positive review you left me on Amazon right here in this widget, and everybody who enters this contest has a chance to win this really cool prize. So you hold a contest. It inspires the people who liked your book to go ahead and follow through, leave you some positive feedback. Because you got to understand, there's a lot of people out there who might have read your book and liked your book, especially during a free promo. You know, I gave a recipe book away. When I ran it through the ebook initiative, I gave a recipe book away. It was a 40-page recipe book. It was downloaded like 800 times. 800 people got that book for free. I mean, how many people can I inspire out of those 800 to leave me positive review? You know, nobody really cares about leaving a positive review, especially on something as simple as a recipe book, unless you can inspire them to do so a little bit. And the way you do that is you run a contest. It works really, really well. It's a method that can have you 40, 50, 60 reviews within that first free week, within that first free promo week. So, contest. Yeah, I understand. I'm just being conceptual here. I'm not telling you guys specifics. Well, how do I set up a contest? How do I do that? How do I do this? Ebook initiative is $5, and I go into all that in the course. So if you're interested more in that kind of a thing, yeah, check out the course. It's well worth your time. Okay, so number 2, how can I find popular niches? Okay, now how can I find popular niches? There's no wrong answer for something like that. You know, you can use Google AdWords. You can use Google Trends. You can use, this is a really good one, you can use Facebook pages and Facebook groups, and you can kind of get like an indication of what's popular and what's not just by looking at these active Facebook groups and pages. Incidentally, I mean, you're going to be using those pages again when you promote your book. So if you think about it, I mean, it's a very congruent way to find a popular niche and a subject. I mean, you think about the idea of, you know, well, hold on a second. Let me just list a few more. Another way to do it is, you know, going to YouTube and using their search engine and just kind of typing in pieces of things and seeing what pulls up and seeing how many views some of those top videos have, seeing how much comment and how much engagement those videos have, seeing if there's an interest there. And then another way to do it is to do the same thing on Google search. You know, just kind of checking, seeing what kinds of things that Google tries to fill in for you on the search, and then seeing how much competition there is. And when I say competition, like when you search for something on Google, like how many excuse me guys, hold on a second. How much how much sponsored content is there? Is there a lot of sponsored content? And like if you look for, like, you know, man, how do I teach my frog how to ballerina dance, you know, and you're looking for that, right? And you search for it, and like you type in like, how do I teach my frog, and then like bam bam bam, you see like Google try to return like several different variations on how do you teach your frog what are the top search for things on how to teach your frog, right? Then you pick like the top one, and then like bam, you see if there's any sponsored content, anything that people are actually paying to advertise on. Because if people are paying to advertise on something, that means there's generally money in that niche, and there's profit to be made. So those are ways to do it. You know, a lot of times people will hear methods like this and they'll think, I'm not any farther than what I was to begin with. I'm not any closer than what I was to begin with on how to find a niche. I mean, here's the thing, and this is at the heart of it, okay? When you're trying to find a niche, you have to have an interest in the niche, okay? That's point blank. You just have to have an interest in it. Unless you're going to outsource the whole thing, which is fine, you can outsource the whole thing. You have to have a little bit of an interest in it. And I would say, and I would tend to say, even if I'm going to outsource the thing, I still need a little bit of an interest in a subject. And the reason is simply because I need to work with my guy. I need to work with my ghostwriter. I need that book to handle a couple of points. I need it to solve a few things. Like if I'm going to do a book about how to teach my frog how to ballerina dance, then I will have already went to Yahoo questions, or Yahoo answers I should say, and tried to look at some of the things that people were asking about teaching their frog how to ballerina dance. I look at some of the top questions in forums surrounding this subject. I mean, I'd have some points in that book that I know people are asking about, okay? And I want my ghostwriter to make sure that he's covering those points. I want them covered, okay? So, you know, that kind of includes putting a little outline together for your ghostwriter. You know, I need these points covered. Bam, 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 bam. You know, and you kind of want those points covered. You know, and the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. I mean, if you think like, you know, I'm just gonna, oh look how to teach my frog to ballerina dances. Man, that's a trending subject, man. I'm gonna hire a ghostwriter. Hey, write me a book on how to teach a frog to ballerina dance. Bam. Alright, fine. You're going to get what you get, and it's going to be a grab bag. It's going to be a grab bag. It might be good, it might be bad. But if you define the points a little bit more, you know, if you define the points a little bit more, like if you know you want to cover this, you want to cover this, you want this question answered, you want this question answered, that's going to help you, lower the risk factor. You know, you're going to be more comfortable with what you get back. So, you know, I'm kind of getting off on outsourcing a little bit, and I don't mean to. The point is, when you are picking a niche, I think it's important that you start off with something you actually have an interest in. You know, you don't have to be like obsessed with it, but you want to try to have a little bit of an interest in it. Like, I have an interest in, you know, baseball cards. I have an interest in video games. I don't really play video games anymore personally. It sucks up too much time. But I do have an interest. I like video games. When I was a kid, I enjoyed playing them. I have an interest in music. I have an interest in guitar. You know, I have an interest in a lot of things. I mean, all it takes is an interest, you know, to educate yourself a little bit about a subject and then take that into, like, a product. So when you say, like, how can I find popular niches, I would start by sitting down at the table and writing a list of things that you actually give a crap about. That's what I'd start with. I'd start there, and then I'd get on the internet and I'd try to see which of those things have promise. Which of those things have the most promise, I should say. And that's probably how I'd do it, man. I'd probably come up with a list of about 20 things at least 20 things. 10 to 20 things that you have an interest in. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. We all have interests in things. I'm not talking about things that you're absolutely passionate about. I'm talking about things that, like, you might have been interested in, and, you know, maybe you haven't done anything about it, but you were interested in it at some point. Like me, at one point, I was very, very obsessed with the idea of weather modification. I was. I mean, I was really interested in it. I looked at a lot of websites. I mean, the idea of people modifying the weather for their own personal gain, like, was very crazy to me. It was obsessed. It was amazing. I mean, not amazing in a good way, but it was just, I couldn't believe that was happening. It is happening, incidentally. But that's an interest for me. Weather modification is an interest. It's not one of my hobbies, obviously, but it's an interest. Another one of my interests, I just completely went blank just now, man. I apologize. Yeah, weather modification was an interest. And I'm trying to talk to you about interests that I have outside of just, like, hobbies and stuff, because we all have, like, 1 or 2 or 3 hobbies, but you gotta dig deeper than that. I mean, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 hobbies, that's not gonna cut it. I mean, you need interests, you know. Another interest that we all have is, you know, how to find a job, you know, or how to fill out a job application. How to fill out a resume is a real good one, because, you know, like, when it comes to that find a job market, a lot of those people don't have money. But, you know, how to fill out a resume is geared a lot more towards people who have a job that are looking to kind of move sideways or elevate themselves up a little bit to a better job. You know, so they're trying to work on their resume. So it's whatever. If you had an interest in something like that, I had an interest in that. Soft skills. I've had an interest in soft skills training. That's like your ability to talk to other people, and get along with people. That's stuff like that. I had an interest in, you're going to laugh at this one, but I had an interest in alien abduction. Man, I'm telling you, for a minute, like, I was, like, obsessed with alien abduction. Like, I thought, oh my gosh, man, this is, like, terrifying, you know? and I you know, I was really big into it. Like, for a couple of months there, I was, like, reading all these books about alien abduction, and I was looking at all these websites, and I was looking at all these case studies and accounts of alien abduction, and it was like, eventually I had to stop. I was like, dude, intervention time. You gotta, like, get away from this stuff. But I'm telling you, man, that alien abduction stuff is nuts. I mean, people who lose, like, entire days of their life that have no idea what happened. Yeah, and I understand, you know, maybe it's bogus, maybe that's all a bunch of crap, but if you start digging down that rabbit hole, man, you'd be surprised what you find. But that's an example of an interest that I had, okay, or I have, you know, and we all have those. We've all been on YouTube. We start searching, and then all of a sudden we're in this really crazy, you know, niche that we had no idea about. I'll give you another example. I was on YouTube a few months back, and somehow I got onto this video that was just filming a garbage truck. And then I figured out there was this whole sub-niche, this whole micro-niche on YouTube of people just filming their garbage trucks. And they film these garbage trucks, and they name, like, the kind of truck it is, but there's people out there who have an interest in watching garbage trucks, and they kind of follow them. It's like a hobby. So that's an example, and I must have watched, like, 10 of these videos, and I was like, why am I watching all these videos about garbage trucks? I mean, I don't care about garbage trucks, but for somehow, in some way, I mean, maybe that's the power of YouTube, but it fascinated me enough to watch 10 videos about garbage trucks. I mean, I'll never get the hour of my life back, but the point is, there's people out there who give a crap about garbage trucks, and they follow them. They follow them. They film them, and there's tons of people who watch those videos, and they're just interested in the kinds of garbage trucks and that they're interested in. It's weird, but it doesn't matter. So the point is, and this is a really cool question because you always get the same rehashed answers when people say like, how do I find popular niches? You always get the same rehashed answers. But I want to give you a little bit of a different answer because I want you to kind of think about something you've had an interest in your life. Whether it was baseball, whether it was, at some point in your life you became like a major freak about this one thing for a few weeks or a few months, or even like to this day you really enjoy it. Like me with the weather modification. I wrote an essay on it in college. I was obsessed with this weather modification thing for like months. I was obsessed with it. I'd planned on writing a whole book about weather modification. I still might now that I'm sitting here talking to you guys about it. But I was paranoid to release the book because I was afraid the government was going to, I don't know, do something, blow my car up or something. I don't know what I was afraid of, but that's what happens when you start getting into these weird conspiracy theory websites and stuff. You start getting really afraid of the government and stuff. But yeah, weather modification. That was something I had a big interest in, so that would be a good niche for me. That'd be congruent with me. Can I find a market out there for this thing I have an interest in? Well, there's a really good chance that if you have an interest in something, there's other people that have an interest in it too. I mean, you can check Google Trends, and you can check some of the other things I talked about, like the sponsored ads and stuff like that, and that's fine. But, if you like something, there's a chance a lot of other people are going to like it too. You just have to find those people. And looking at something like Google group or Facebook groups and some forums is a really good way to do that. So anyways, this video is getting really long, sorry. Number 3, have published 12 outsourced books. Have published 12 outsourced books. So he was asking, how do I get 12 books outsourced? How do I publish, how do I get to where I've got at least 12 books outsourced and published? And I have to be fair, the eBook initiative doesn't really focus on like outsourcing books. It doesn't. And it's not really for people who just want to slam out tons and tons of books. The eBook initiative is really for people who wrote a book or outsourced a book, and they want to try to put their best foot forward on that one book as possible. Put the best foot forward as possible on that one book. And then, after they successfully launch it, they can move on to the next book. And that's kind of what this ebook initiative is all about. It's not really about slamming out as many books as possible and like playing a game of darts. It's more about playing like a game of chess with one book and making strategic movements to take that book like to the top and to put your best foot forward on the one book. But to answer his question, if you want to have 12 books published on Amazon like quickly outsourced, like you're gonna follow the steps I just talked about. You're gonna want to find. I would start out with trying to write down 20 or 30 interests that you have or that you've had in the past, and then kind of do some research on those interests and kind of see which ones have the most popularity, have the most sponsored ads around them. And then what I would do is I would try to come up with an outline for each of those books. If I have a goal of 12 books, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with an outline for each of those books. Obviously I'm going to want an intro, and then I'm going to want, I would say at least 5 points. At least 5 points in the book. At least 5 major points in the book, and then, a conclusion, and you're done, and you're good. Honestly, if I was going to do that, outsourced like that, and I come up with 10 or 20 subjects, I'll tell you what I would probably do is, I would probably try to find my top 4 maybe popular ones, because they're not all going to be like popular. You're not going to find sponsored ads on all of them. And I'd try to like compartmentalize some of the subjects within those niches. I'd probably try to break it down a little bit. Like you know, if I had a big interest like an alien abduction, you know, I might like I might try to compartmentalize that. Like I could do one book that was like one book could be like 5 case studies on alien abduction. One book could be like something else about alien abduction. You know what I mean? Like you could put out like 4 or 5 books around that same little niche and have those published. And yeah, I would, if you find a good ghostwriter, like you go to Odesk or Elance to find your ghostwriters, you know, and if you find a good one, you know, you hang on to them, you know, you pay them a little extra. You know, you give them, you tip them, and you try to get good work done. I think what it boils down to when it comes to ghostwriting, you're looking at about $100 per ebook. That's an average, but you're looking at about $100 per ebook. You know, so you know when it comes to having 12 of them done, you're probably looking at about a GER. You're probably looking at about a GER to get them all done. You know, but you know, I mean, to personally, what I would do is I wouldn't start with like having 12 done. What I would do is I would start with, I would probably take, like I said, I would sit down and find 20 things I was interested in, and then I'd find my like top like 5 or whatever, top 4 or 5 of those things that showed the most promise. I mean, had the most paid advertising around them, showed the most promise, and I would probably then I would try to map out. I would probably try to map out my ebooks around those 5, and I probably, and I'm kind of funny about it. Maybe you could call it patience, and it might drive you a little bit mad, but I call it like damage control. and what I'm gonna say is I wouldn't just do all 12. I would probably do like 4. You know, maybe 4 ebooks. I might even just do like 1. I might do 1 ebook in those top 5. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Have 5 ebooks in my top 5 interests, and then I'll see which ones start selling. I mean, and then and if I have one that's selling, what I'll do is I'll move on to my next compartmentalized subject within that niche. If I got like an alien abduction ebook that I had written, if I had like a weather modification ebook I had written, I got my blah 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 blah. I got like 5 of them that I had written, right? And I probably spent $400 or $500 on that. And then what I'll do is I'll see which ones are selling. So, and then, you know, whatever ones are selling the most, I'll probably move on to create my second ebooks in those. Now, look, can you have ebooks done cheaper? You know, how can you get cheaper? Because I know some of you out there are thinking, man, $500, that's a lot of dough, man. $1,000, that's a lot of dough. Absolutely, I think it's a lot of dough. If you're not making money, it's a lot of dough. If you're not making money off of it, it's a lot of money. You want to be getting a return on your investment, you know? The idea is you spend $100 on an ebook, and it's going to make you $20 to $40 a month, you know, for a long time. So, like, the idea is you're paying $100 now, but, you know, you'll make your money back within 5 months, and then after that, it's all going to be straight profit. That's the idea. It's almost like investing. So that's the idea. And if you're just going to do 1 book at a time, then do 1 book at a time, you know. A cheaper way to go about it is to use Fiverr. You can use Fiverr. I think you can have a 400-word article written for $5. Okay, now imagine, I mean, if each of your chapters, you know, is 400 to 1,000 words. You could probably do 1,000-word chapters. 1,000-word chapters for $10. You need 5 of them, so that's $50. You know, that's 25 to $50, isn't it? Really, I mean, if you do 400 to 1,000, that's 25 to $50. You could write your own intro and conclusion, and boom, you're done. You cut your fee in half. There you go. I find that the quality of writing, you know, it's kind of hit and miss on Fiverr. I mean, you know, you're not going to be paying people as much money. I mean, you give someone $5 and they're going to write a 400-word article for you. Imagine how many 400-word articles they have to bang out before they actually make a good amount of money. So then you got to wonder how much time they're going to be spending on your 400-word article. So you got to deal with that, and then you got to deal with the fact that some of those writers are getting overwhelmed and you got to worry about, you know, plagiarism, and you don't want that. You don't want anything plagiarized. So yeah, I mean that's what you got to worry about. So I think the quality is a little bit higher on Elance and Odesk than on Fiverr. You can use Fiverr, but I think the quality is a little higher on the other ones. There you go. That's it. I mean, and like when it comes to, like, you know, publishing ebooks on Amazon, there's a few ways I've done it in the past. I've done the really quick, slam them out, you know, 30-page recipe guides, bam, 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 bam. And that's just like throwing darts at a wall, you know what I mean? You're seeing what people are buying, what people aren't buying, and then, like, what people are buying, you try to, like, expand upon what you've got out there. You know, if I see that people are buying my George Foreman recipe guide or whatever, then I'll try to do some more George Foreman recipe guides and throw those and see if they buy some more of that stuff. But it's really it's like a game of darts, and then you kind of narrow in on things people are buying. With the ebook initiative method, it's more, like I said, it's more like a game of chess. You're taking this one book, whether you've had it outsourced or not, you're taking this one book and you're strategically placing it in a way that you're going to engineer success with the book. And it's going to involve a few steps, and it's going to involve a little bit of a process, but it works. It works, and it's a good process. So, and the best thing about it is once you build this engine, I'm calling it an engine, once you build this kind of system, you can use it for multiple books in the genre. In that genre, like if I'm going to work in that alien abduction genre, once I build this sales engine, once I build my Kindle sales engine, the ebook initiative sales engine, I can use it multiple times in that genre, and I could probably even use it to, like, expand out to things like weather modification and that kind of government conspiracy niche. You can kind of use because people are dynamic, man. I mean, just because they care about, like, you know, just because they care about alien abduction and you got them on your alien abduction group of people, that doesn't mean they don't care about other things too. I mean, people have more than one interest. Oh my God, I mean, I've just told you guys to sit down and list 20 things you have an interest in. I told you that, you know, I have an interest in everything from guitar to music to, you know, alien abduction, for God's sakes. And then it really becomes a question of how have you positioned yourself to those people? Have you positioned yourself as the alien abduction guy? Or have you positioned yourself as the government conspiracy guy, you know? And maybe, like, you positioned yourself as an alien abduction guy, but once you have people on an email list, or once you have people's attention in some way, you can kind of, like, expand out a little bit into a broader niche, and they start to see you as an expert in those other things as well, once you have their attention. The first step is getting people to give a crap about what you're doing, though. So, I don't know. I think I got a little bit off topic there, but, whatever. Let's see. He was asking how to come up with a plot, how to make it sound professional, how to make a cover. Now, how to come up with a plot. You know, I tell you what, man. Plots are easy if you're doing how-to books. You know, your how-to books. You know, you sit down and you write what your goal is at first. You write your end goal. This book, I want to teach people that alien abduction is real, right? It's my goal to convince anyone who reads this book that without a shadow of a doubt, this is a real thing that has happened, okay? That's my goal, okay? Now, how do you accomplish that goal, right? And that's kind of how you come up with, like, a plot for a how-to book. Now, when you're talking about how to come up with a plot for fiction, first of all, I'm not, you know, a professional. I've only wrote, you know, I've wrote several pieces of fiction, but I've never tried to sell any of them on Amazon. So, you know, I'm probably not the best person to ask about how to come up with a plot for fiction. I can tell you how I've done it, you know, and I do it very similar to how I do the how-to books. I'll sit down at the table and I'll start writing things on index cards. Big things that I want to happen, you know. I'll have this, like, kind of a idea of a story arc, you know, like I want to do this book about, you know, I wasn't abducted by aliens, by the way. God forbid, hope that never happens. But you know, if you wanted to write a book about a science fiction book about how you're abducted by aliens and taken to the home world, and you know, blah 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 blah, and this happens, that happens, and the other happens. I would probably sit down at the table with some index cards and start writing things that happen. You know, writing things that happened. Well, I know I want this to happen. Bam, index card. I know I want this to happen. Bam, index card. I know that this is all going to end with my dude getting home safely, and it's going to be as if he never left and no time has really passed. Boom. You know that's going to happen at the end. Well, I know this is going to start out with my dude mowing the grass in his yard with his headphones on. Bam. And you know that, and you got them all laid out. Then you kind of look at them on the table and you kind of start thinking about what needs to happen to get this index card to this index card, and what needs to happen to get this index card to this index card, and you kind of start thinking about that stuff, and then you might need to start coming up with some more index cards and putting them in there and putting them in there and putting them in there, and pretty soon you got this pile of index cards, and you gather them up in order, and man, that's your map right there. That's your book map right there. And you list that out, you know, on a Word document or something, and then you attack it, man. Whatever you feel like writing about that night, you write it, right? You write it. You don't have to go in order if you don't want to. You pick whichever one you want, and when you write it, you just write down the gist of it. You don't have to write down amazing, you don't have to write down amazing grammar or anything. You need to get the idea of that. You need to get the idea of that down, okay? So yeah, that's kind of the plot thing, and I think it's fun. I enjoy writing. I think it's fun. Now I can tell you, now I enjoy writing things like that. I don't like writing copy, like things to sell things that were meant to persuade you to buy things. I'm not congruent with that, man. Like when I try to write copy, I'm not coming across as myself, and like it generally doesn't work very good. So that's something I'm still trying to master, the art of good copy, you know. For the ebook initiative, the actual sales letter that you see there on the ebookinitiative.com, I didn't write that, man. I paid someone like $50 to write that for me. I gave them the ideas that I was trying to convey, the problems that the ebook initiative was trying to solve, but I paid someone else to write the copy. So now the funny thing is, if you go over to Warrior Forum and you look at the ebook initiative post there, where it's for sale in Warrior Forum, I wrote that copy. But I did it in a way where I was trying to not write copy. I was just trying to be myself and say, bam. I tried to write it in a way like where this is what it is, this is what it does. Because whenever I think about like a sales letter, I want to know like what it solves, and then I want to know how much it costs. Those are the things I want to know. What problem does it solve? How much does it cost? And does it really work? Those are like the three things I'm kind of wondering about. So I just wanted to convey those three things without like tons and tons and tons of pages of copy. I don't know. I'm no master at copy. I'm not John Carlton by any means whatsoever. But, you know. How to make a cover. Well, I'll tell you what. For ebooks on Kindle, you know, things I'm going to be charging like $2.99 for or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it, man. I can tell you the two ways I've had the most success with are A, just outsourcing it to someone like on Fiverr. You pay $5 for a good cover, right? And that's a no-brainer, man. I mean, you're paying $5 for someone who's a graphic designer to make you a nice cover. I mean, I think with the covers, it's important to acknowledge your strengths and your weaknesses. If you're not a graphic designer, don't try to pretend to be a graphic designer. I mean, and I speak from experience. I mean, because I've had tons of things, you know, including Easy YouTube Money Method, including tons of recipe guides and other books that I wrote on Kindle, that I tried to just do the cover myself, and I probably hurt my conversion rates. I probably hurt them because my cover was kind of crappy. So, that being said, though, there are triggers that cause people to buy ebooks, and I know this because I've used them, and I know some of them are more effective. I can tell you, I don't care what kind of crappy book that I write, if I put some stupid tiger on the front of it, it sells. If I do a book about smoothies for energy and I put like a weird tiger roaring at you on the front of it, it sells. People like tigers and lions, and they like animals that are like they like animals on covers. You know, it's funny. And I think what it translates to is funny. If it's mildly amusing, if it's kind of a funny cover, people like that. Funny really kind of sells ebooks. So you can have kind of a crappy cover and it can be funny and it's cool, you can sell it. But other than that, other than having some kind of a trigger on the cover, like it's either funny or it's sexy, other than that, I mean, I think your better bet is to just get a professional cover done on like Fiverr or something. There's no excuse. It's $5. There's no excuse not to do that. I mean, if you're trying to put your best foot forward, there's no excuse. I mean, just have it done, man. I mean, unless you're a graphic designer, then, you know, by all means, do it yourself. But if you're like me and you're not, then, you know, if you're trying to put your best foot forward, you either need to make it like funny, like it hits an emotional trigger of being funny, or sexy, or, you know, get someone to do it professionally, because you're gonna look crappy and shabby, and people are gonna be like, dude, look at this cat, man. He put this cover together in paint. I'm not buying his done ebook, you know. But that's just my opinion, man, and, you know, anybody could prove me wrong. So, you know, I tell you the whole thing about the tigers and lions and stuff, because I did a ton of smoothie recipe books, and they all converted really well when I put like animals on the front that were like roaring at you. So, you know, I mean, whatever. Okay, so let's see. How to produce books consistently that make $40 a month. Okay, this is cool because, okay, the way you do this, books that consistently sell 40 copies a month, you have to write a good book, number one. You need 3 things, okay? You need a good product, you need a lot of positive reviews, and you need to push a lot of units. Pushing units, positive reviews, a good product. Now, you can control the good product first. Make sure the ebook is good. Make sure it does what you set out to do. If your goal in your ebook was, your mission was to convince people alien abduction is real, and after you can read that book and you can honestly say, I've accomplished my mission, the writing is good, this does what I set out to do. Okay, you got a good product. Great, cool. Now, how do you push units? How do you get positive reviews? We already talked a little bit about the positive reviews when I talked about running the contest. The pushing units, you know, the pushing units thing, you're going to be able to solve that a lot in your 5-day free promo. That combined with the positive reviews that you're getting in that 5-week free promo is going to kind of launch your book into another area where like Amazon will start to promote it, and that momentum will carry you on after the 5-day promo. Okay, that might be a little bit, I know I'm speaking conceptually here. In the ebook initiative, obviously I go step by step by step, but yeah, the idea is you need those 3 things, and there's a way that you can accomplish that goal. You're going to use things like Facebook groups. You're going to use things like YouTube. You're going to use things like a blog to kind of make that happen. And what you're going to do is to repeat this process over and over, is you're going to kind of start to gather a force around you. You're going to start to build up a few areas, a few presences on the internet, and in this way, you're going to get people to acknowledge you as an authority in that niche. You're going to get people to acknowledge you as someone who matters in that niche. You're going to get people to acknowledge you as almost like a celebrity in that niche. You know, because once you start publishing things, you might not be aware of it, but whether it's you're publishing ebooks or you're publishing YouTube videos or you're publishing blog posts, you might not realize it, but you're kind of becoming somewhat of an authority. And you're not becoming an authority, you are becoming an authority, but you're becoming somewhat of a celebrity. There's a lot of people out there who love the idea and the subject of alien abduction. A lot of people are interested in that. But there's not nearly as many people out there who are publishing ebooks about it, or publishing YouTube videos about it, or have an entire blog dedicated to it. So what happens is all the people that are interested in it, they meet the people, they see the people who are publishing about it, and those people who are publishing about it, they sort of kind of become these celebrity authorities. Celebrity authorities matter. I mean, you know, all of a sudden, people tend to listen to what you say. People tend to believe what you say because you've created this YouTube channel, or you've created this blog, or you've created this or that or the other clearly you know more about the subject than they do, and they're interested in the subject. So they start to see you as an authority, and they start to see you a little bit as a celebrity within that niche. So gaining that celebrity authority status is really how you're going to be able to create books that sell consistently every month. You need to make people aware of who you are and give a crap about what you do. So that's the goal, right? So I think this video's gone on long enough, man. I want to get this off here. I'm gonna hurry up and get it uploaded to YouTube so you guys can check it out. Got some other things in the pipeline. March 3rd, the affiliate command is going to be launching. But for now, I just want to tell you that tonight at midnight, the eBook Initiative shuts its doors. So if you're interested in the eBook Initiative, it is a very small investment of $5. I'll pay $5. I'll spend more than that on my lunch. So $5 is not like a super big deal to, you know, try to find the keys to the castle. Anyways, I hope this video has been helpful to you, man, and I will catch up with you guys here on my blog or on adventuresontheriver.com, or I'll catch up with you in the eBook Initiative. See you guys. Peace.